Welcome to the Winning Hand podcast, the podcast all about Marvel Champions, one card at a time. My name is Boomguy. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Marvel Champions. I am joined today by one of my co-hosts, Leethus.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going, man? And my other co-host, Lazy Titan.
Wow, third billing today. I'm really falling down.
The Red King is never third. He's maybe third in your programs, but he's number one in your hearts.
There we go.
And he always will be. And
fourth in your aspect picks.
There we go.
It's been a while since the three of us have been together.
Yeah, holidays and all that.
Yeah,
the new year.
Been a number of episodes since we've had the whole group, so it's good to see your smiling faces. And if you are on YouTube, then you also see our smiling faces. If you're listening to this on audio format, then you're a real one because you're an OG, and that's where we started. And respect.
Or you're not. And if you're new to the audio, then just go check out the YouTube.
That's true. You can see us wherever you want to. YouTube,
it's an
YouTube,
option for you. For the real ones, it wasn't an option at the time. They've just learned their ways and they're set. But you guys can change. You're new.
But my audio peeps, real ones. All right, so we are back. The People's Podcast is here today, and we are really earning our title of the People's Podcast today because we're giving back to the people like we always do. But for this episode number 57, we put out a poll on the YouTube page asking people what they wanted us to talk about. And I put out the question up, and I had a bunch of responses, and I filtered those down to the most popular responses that were voted on. Then I had a series of votes and polls that I did. Anyway, all that was very scientific. But what it ended up with is that team building exercise was the one that was chosen.
And that was on the YouTube for all those who haven't checked it out and would like to vote in the next one.
Yes, it is on our YouTube community tab. So if you would like to do that in the future, I'm sure the People's Podcast will be providing what the people want once again.
As ever.
We always do.
Excellent choice.
If you have gotten this far and you are not sick of looking at us or listening to us, please take a minute to rate and review us on whatever platform you're on. It really does mean a lot. Hit subscribe if you're on YouTube, or hit follow if you're on Spotify or whatever.
Comment, leave a review, all the things, press the buttons, good stuff.
5 stars only.
Oh, of course.
Leave a review, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the things on whatever platform you're on. Really, I'm not going to ask over and over again. We got into a bit of a bit a number of episodes ago, but it does actually mean a lot. It's a little thing for you, but it does mean a lot to get our podcast out there. So with that said, I want to transition to our content creator spotlight of the episode. So we have been doing this recently where we talk about a different content creator each episode. We can shout them out. This one is Joshi of Smeg. I don't know what that means or where Smeg is. Apparently it's in Australia because he is from Australia. He is a YouTuber, and he mostly does solo playthroughs. And he does a lot of live streams with other content creators as well. But the biggest thing he's known for is he is a Hulk fan. He plays Hulk almost exclusively. He plays She-Hulk sometimes, and he plays some of the other ones. But he's almost always Hulk.
Much respect.
Leethus has been playing a bit of Hulk recently. He's going to tell us about that in a few minutes. If you like Hulk, if you want to see someone play Hulk and enjoy Hulk, if you have questions about Hulk, the history, the lore of Hulk, please go check out Joshi of Smeg. I will leave a link in the description or in the show notes if you're listening to this. He's on YouTube. I don't think he's anywhere else, but he's awesome, and he's a really, really nice guy. So if you are in Australia, maybe you hang out with him and play a game in person. He plays on stream with a lot of people too, so check him out. If you are a content creator and would like to be featured, or if you know of some cool content creator you would like to hear us feature, please send us an email, winninghandpodcast@gmail.com, or leave a comment on whatever platform you're on. Let us know. We're always looking for more. I will eventually run out of the ones that I can find and I know of, so please let us know. We are happy to shout them out or want to give back to the community. All right. Let us now talk about what we have been playing recently, / what we're excited about, whatever direction you want to take it in. Leethus, why don't you go first? I've been talking enough.
I've been playing what I call bruisers, like the heroes with 14 or more hit points. So
Okay.
they have access to limitless stamina.
Bruisers.
Specifically, I've been playing a lot of Hulk and Thor, some of the other ones as well, but those are the main ones. I've played plenty of Penny Parker. And really just trying to buckle down and make them feel... I shouldn't say make them feel okay. Like, Thor is legitimately very good now, I think. But they're very not my typical play style. It's a major shift for me to sort of get in that mindset and figure out how to make those heroes shine. And part of that journey has been making decks that are way more consistent than what I've typically done. So I've been making a lot of decks that have like 3 copies of a given upgrade, which I don't typically do, and I'm coming around on it. I think it's actually pretty good, especially for them. But yeah, I've been having a lot of success with Thor and a decent amount of success with Hulk, considering my track record has been pretty poor, and I've revisited him periodically over the life of the game. I did beat Claw. I was happy with that, because that usually doesn't go very well. Yeah, and protection for all these heroes is insane at this point. Like, what doesn't kill me is such a godsend for these heroes that have massive HP pools. Being able to like heal up and then basic attack again is incredibly strong. Yeah, it's been fun having them spend some more time on the table and out of the box and play some cards I don't typically play, and get to have some nice, great moments like Thor using Lightning Strike to kill like 4 or 5 minions in one go.
What aspects are you playing them in?
I've been playing a lot of aggression. Lazy Titan, are you proud
yeah,
of me?
I'm proud of you. Thank you for turning to the side, the good side.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of aggression. And then for these heroes, probably protection the most after that. A bit of leadership for Thor. I haven't wanted to play leadership with Hulk, although at some point I'll get to it. But yeah, probably aggression, then protection, then justice, then leadership. Really liking interrogation room for these folks too. It's really good for them.
Interrogation room is the one that when you defeat a minion you thwart. Is that right?
Yeah, when you defeat a minion, you get to exhaust and remove 1 threat from a scheme, which doesn't sound all that impressive, but like when you're routinely knocking minions down turn after turn, it pays off pretty well.
You playing 1-player, 2-player?
I've been playing a lot of 2-player lately. It's been a mix for these. I did play Hulk in a 2-player game. It was Hulk Protection with, I don't even remember who I was paired up with. I want to say Wolverine, but I can't recall. I taught somebody how to play the game recently, so we've been playing quite a bit, actually. And it's been cool watching somebody else go through and like see all these heroes for the first time and have these light bulb moments about the possibilities or what somebody can do. Like they were just asking me earlier today about playing multiple copies of Mean Swing on the same attack. It's like, yep, you can do that as long as you got the weapons for it. Yeah, like lots of just cool moments with all of that.
Yeah. Do you have decks that are published that you've been playing that you want to share with the people, Leethus?
Ooh,
Should we be posting
I don't
deck
right
links?
now.
People demand it.
I should think about this. I'm not the most like. I tend not to make very. What's the word? You would say very interesting decks. Like I don't make very like cute decks. I don't like.
Maybe a spike.
It's not about being a spike. It's more about. How do I describe it? Maybe some of it's
not
about being a spike.
It's about winning.
Yeah.
That's what a spike would
Like
say.
theme is a big thing. Like I don't need to have like a super thematic answer for everything that's in a deck. But I want some consistency because I want a deck and a hero to feel a certain way. And if I have a lot of one-ofs, that makes it feel really random. And I tend not to like that as much. I also sometimes avoid cards that just feel like thematic mismatches. Like Hand Cannon is a good card for Thor, but I don't play it with him because giving Thor a hand cannon feels wrong. Like,
You want Thor to have a gun? That's funny.
he should have melee weapons. Or like giving Beat Cop to Magneto just feels so wrong that I just don't do it, even if it
Fair.
might be a thing I would mechanically want to do. But yeah, I'll think about it. Like, my decks are very utilitarian for the most part. They're meant to function consistently. I don't generally play for like big power combos. I want the deck to support the hero doing whatever it is that they do best.
I think there's a lot of people listening and watching who would be interested to still see those decks, and then probably a lot of people listening to this hear themselves and their deck flavor of choice kind of being described by you right near too, right?
Yeah, well, we can throw a link into like the Thor aggression
Yeah.
deck I've built. It's like I said, it's not fancy, but if you're looking for just like you're starting out or new or just don't know what to do with the hero, it's a good starting point. Just what can I do that makes this hero feel like they're supposed to?
All right.
I think I got that.
Yeah, I will put a link to the deck that Leethus is talking about in the description or in the show notes. If listeners or viewers want to see more of Leethus' deck, send us an email, winninghandpodcast@gmail.com, or leave a comment, and I will badger him until he gives me more links. I played so much Thor at the end of 2024. I published a deck called Blue Christmas. Yeah, my Blue Christmas, which was so fun. I played so much of that deck over and over and over again. I really reinvigorated Thor in a big way for me. You know, a lot of it was built around Squared Off, but I used Noble Sacrifice in there too. But so good. Not about him really readying or much. You know, I didn't have Archimedes Heroes or any of that stuff, but it was so fun. Such a great deck.
He's got a lot of options in leadership now, honestly.
I think he's good in every aspect. Now, I don't know if I ever played him in Justice. Maybe he's good there, but he's really good in protection. I think he's been good in protection for a while since Ever Vigilant came out. But Ever Vigilant, What Doesn't Kill Me, just like those combos, just ready. He's just. I think Thor's really really fun.
Yeah,
and I'm glad to
he's,
see.
I mean, I don't think this is a hot take that like his stock has shot up considerably since his release, but
Yeah.
he's real good now.
But this last wave in particular, Come Get Me Bub, Squared Off, like all those minion cards, like Face the Past,
Face
wild
the Past,
card for Thor.
huge Thor tech for all you Thor players out there.
Yes. Why is
Draw
that? Lazy
5
Titan?
cards. 0 cost, draw 5 cards, get a stupid minion. Oh no, a minion. Beat him up. Kill him.
Yeah, it's
He's got 4 health and no tough card, right? Loki?
that's true.
I think
4 health
yeah,
and tough card.
he's a chump. And if he survives because you flip a treachery, beat him up again.
Well, that takes us nicely into what I've been playing recently. So I'll just segue into me. I have been playing a bunch of Black Widow and Black Panther,
Ooh,
both in aggression recently.
I like Black Widow aggression.
See, I'm getting you all. You guys are all turned to the good side.
Yeah, the Red King is infecting all of us.
I'll get you one day.
I think it mostly came because the last episode we did, I had Ray from Ray Plays Games on, and he's a huge Moon Knight fan. We picked a Moon Knight art card for to talk about, which is Lion Weight, which was a card that I hadn't forgotten about, but doesn't get a lot of play. And then when we started talking about it again, I started wondering, like, well, I don't really know why it doesn't get a lot of play. I actually like this card, but it's just one of those, in hundreds of cards now, it's just one that doesn't come to mind a lot. And in aggression builds, I'm usually doing something else. But I pulled that card out again, and it's so good for her. And Face the Past works really well for her as well. I just play Face the Past. Her minion comes out, 5 health. Lion Weight hits her for 3. She has Widow's Bite, hits her for 2. Dead. Done. Draw 3 cards for nothing. So I've been setting that combo up a lot, where I get Lion Weight out, I get out Widow's Bite, Face the Past, takes out the minion, draw 3 cards. Thank you.
Playing with fire a little bit. Taskmaster's a nasty minion.
I mean,
Both
I
as
can
a
set
boost
up.
card and as a minion. I believe he boosts for the number of preparations you have, or
Ain't
number
worried
of
about
upgrades you have.
Upgrades, yeah.
I
This
respect
is me
I respect
quaking in
that.
my boots. Boomguy is not scared.
I
does
respect
not
that.
care.
That's a real red player right there. That's
Red.
not one of those people who hides behind an ally.
No, I'm not hiding behind allies. Come get it. Come
He's
get
at the
it.
defense. See what happens.
Yeah, so I've been playing a bunch of Black Widow aggression, which has kind of led me to get Black Widow out in other things again. She's a hero that I really like, but just kind of through waves and waves of heroes just hasn't gotten as much play as I think she deserves and I would like to give her. But she's one I played a lot of early on. So, and then I also have been playing Black Panther because Shuri was announced, revealed, and we have most of her cards, and so that kind of made me go back and look at T'Challa again, who I have been a little down on before. I think he's the core set character who has aged the worst. I think he has grown the least. That is to say, I don't think he's really grown at all since he was released from the core set. Like, there's very few things that have come along that have helped him specifically.
I could agree with that statement, yeah.
But some of the things that have come along, Fusillade is a great card for him. Get your Panther Claws out with your setup ability. Fusillade is immediately on, can exhaust, and doesn't need to be ready to do anything. Yarnbjorn works really well on him too. So I think he's got some fun stuff. I just find that he has a loop, and that's the loop. And, you can't, we were talking a little bit before the show, before we started recording, you can't really interact with that loop at all. There's nothing that you can build to interact with Wakanda Forever. It just is Wakanda Forever. All the OGs, remember, that is episode 4 of the Winning Hand podcast, Wakanda Forever. Yeah. Go back and listen to our thoughts. But it just kind of, I felt like it got stale for me. It was like, you just spam Wakanda Forever, and most of the builds are like, well, how many times can I get it out, or what other things can I do? And after a while, it just feels kind of like, His hero ability is underwhelming.
Just retaliate is a little lame.
I don't think it's underwhelming. I think that's actually
feels
really
bad
good.
nowadays.
Interesting. I think it's okay. I think it could have, you could have an actual ability, just retaliate. But, yeah, so when I say he's aged the worst, I don't think he's bad. I just think that every other hero has grown since the core set, and I just don't think he really has. He's just the same. Picking up in 2025 it's the same experience as you had in 2019.
I do think Yarnbjorn is probably the biggest card for him that's come out.
That's a good one for him, yeah. But I think Fusillade's a good one too. I mean, I think he's got some good cards that he can use for sure. I just don't know if many of them are great for Black Panther. So I'm excited for the new Black Panther, Shuri, to come out, kind of give him a buff. And if I understand the rules correctly, you will be able to play them both.
Should be like
same
Miles
game.
And Peter.
Yeah.
And you can also have her ally out, which is T'Challa, not Black Panther, and you can have her or his ally out, which is Shuri,
and not
because
Black
they
Panther.
have different sub names. There was a bit of a debate on it in Discord. I think you can have all those characters out at the same time, which is kind of cool, so it doesn't turn off the allies.
It should. Unless I'm missing something or
No, because Black Panther,
blowing my mind.
The Black Panther core set hero is called Black Panther, but her allies, his name is T'Challa. It's not Black Panther.
Right, but the reason both Black Panther heroes can be out at the same time is because their alter egos are T'Challa and Shuri.
Correct.
Like, the alter ego name is equivalent to, the small text name of
Correct.
an ally. So, Black Panther T'Challa being out means that you can't have...
But isn't that ally just T'Challa, no subtext? Which is slightly different?
Which is what people on Discord were saying. So I'm relying on the discussion on Discord. People were quoting rules. I'm not a rules lawyer. People were quoting the rules, and they were saying that the rules say that because they had the different name and a different sub name or whatever, and you can have them all out in play. Listeners, winninghandpodcast@gmail.com. Viewers on YouTube, leave a comment. If I'm wrong, we all know I'm not.
The amount of time
But
that
go
will
easy on
happen
Leethus.
is not worth the discussion.
Hold your tongue. I'm going to make it happen all the time.
I dare you.
I'm just kidding. I think, so that's what I've been playing recently. That's me. Lazy Titan, what have you been playing recently, or / what are you excited about?
Well, see, I haven't been playing a ton recently. But speaking of Shuri, things I've been looking forward to. Nick, that's my man right there. That's my man. I'm looking forward to...
You mean Nick Fury?
I mean Nick Shuri. Excellent pun work on the People's Podcast. Real play on words specialists over here.
The people love it.
Killing me.
Nick Fury, very cool. Very up my alley. You don't want to get attacked? Okay, get schemed. Don't defend? Hit him. Hit him harder. It's pretty cool. His little suit mechanic is interesting. I believe one side forces you to flip it. I believe the stealth suit makes you flip it, and then the assault side doesn't make you do it.
I think so. I'd have to look it up again.
Kind of a fun little thing. I think we all know that I'm going to stay on the one that gives me +1 damage to my attacks a lot of the time.
Yes.
That's going to be my thing. I can stack that with warrior skill and hoe technique onto all my good stuff. Yada, yada,
Unfortunately,
yada. We know how I do stuff.
He can't play dive bomb, though, because he's not aerial.
If only he had a flying car. Mind blown.
My mind is blown. He
Nick
has
Fury
a flying
is
car,
about to hit you with a Mazda, and it's going to do 11 damage to your face. It's going to be great.
Wowza.
So
Hone
Nick,
technique, dive bomb, Nick is wild.
He looks cool. He's got his spy. Oh, it's like the super spy one where you can trigger preparations to draw cards. Very cool. Another preparations hero. He comes with preparations. Sneaky kind of flipping. He looks cool. I'm excited for Nick. Art seems fun. Interesting design. And I've been talking about a Nick Fury hero for years.
You have, actually. You have. I recall those conversations.
This is real.
So you are, of the two box heroes, you are Team Fury?
All the way. I want Fury, and I am accepting Maria Hill only because it gives me giant red helicarriers that can throw at people.
Leethus, are you Team Fury or Team Hill?
Hill. I'm very excited to see what shenanigans Maria Hill brings to the game. I'm excited that TAC team will finally be a viable card. I'm excited to see what all the shield things do. Because like shield hasn't really been an archetype outside of Justice since Sinister Motives, which is a weird place to put it, but I kind of get it. Really excited to see shield expand into the other aspects.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe we have not seen the red helicarrier yet.
We have not.
Okay, so we can still hold out hope for exhaust it for 10 damage. That's what I'm looking for.
We can.
I'm looking for double digits on that thing.
I don't think as of yet we have seen it, and my guess is somebody, I know there's content creators are doing reveals still going on now. So at the time of recording, that has not been revealed. But by the time you listen to this in about a little under a week, it may have been revealed. I don't know. So we will see. What's your prediction that it's going to do? Exhaust for 10 damage?
I'm guessing it's either going to 10 is a made up number that I want in my head. I think realistically it'll exhaust to do damage, or I think more realistically it'll exhaust to do a lower amount of damage to everybody engaged. I think it'll probably do like 3 damage to everybody that's engaged with somebody, or to like all minions or something. It won't.
What if it's like Scorched Earth, just 3 damage to everything?
I'll play it. If it's just the 10 damage to the villain, that's the greatest card ever printed. 10 cost for 20 damage, or 6 cost for 20 damage is just, that's awesome. It's not going to be, because that's insane.
You can't hone technique it, so what's the point?
Yeah, but you can play Maria Hill. You can cheat it out, and then you can hit somebody with it, and then throw it at them for 6 more.
She has the card that you can drop a helicarrier on somebody, which is crazy.
And I want to do 16 damage by dropping a helicarrier on somebody's head. What do you want from me?
Hey, Ian, you are the Red King for a reason.
If I'm paying 6 for a card, it better do some damage.
I'm excited. I mean, she has ways to reduce that, I think, too.
Yes, she has one of the resource cards, I believe, comes with her that reduces the cost based on shield things. She looks very interesting. The helicarriers, she seems a little insane and perhaps a little uninteresting, at least to me, because it's just, in my head, it's just play helicarrier, win game. But I'm sure there's tricky stuff people can figure out with her.
All the Timmy players out there are happy.
Just play a big 6 cost and do it again.
I mean, she completely lacks events. Like, that's such an interesting and thematically appropriate hook for a character. Like, if you're going to do that anywhere, like Maria Hill is the one to do it. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
I'm really
I think it's
excited
cool.
to
They
see
said
it.
she's not going to have any attack, defense, or thwart stuff. That's fun. So I'm excited to see her. I'm definitely Team Maria. So I think this podcast, by a vote of 2-1, is in favor of Maria Hill. So it has been
Kings
decided.
don't get outvoted, so I win.
Since we have decided that, and we are the People's Podcast, that means the people really want to see Maria.
People have decided that Maria Hill is okay. Well, that's fine.
I'm excited, and she's going to be ready by the Con of Heroes. We should have 2 more heroes as well. So at the con, I'm going to be playing Maria. It's destiny. So very excited about that. All right, Any other final thoughts on what you're excited about before we move on, gentlemen?
Not for me.
Gentlemen, then we shall press to the next section, which is the card of the day. If you clicked on the title of this podcast, which how else would you have gotten here? You already know what it is. It's team building exercise. And I mentioned at the top of the show that this is a poll that we did, and this is the one that won. This is what people want to see. So the people are excited to be here. I'm excited to be here. You guys are excited to be here. Let's talk team building exercise. This is the first card that we have ever talked about that has two different arts because it was reprinted during the X-Men wave, so it has two different pictures on it. So we're going to talk about both of them. Now, they really only diverge for the first section, which is art, and then it's all kind of the same after that.
Mostly because it's a reprint.
It's a reprint.
Same card.
One of them has flavor text and one of them doesn't, so I already see one of these winning. Big flavor text fan here. Okay. So let's read the cards, and then let's go into our discussion with our usual categories. Lazy Titan, would you please read the original, the OG card for us and talk about the art, and then Leethus is going to lead us into discussion on the reprint art, and I'll pit you two against each other for my favor.
Interesting. Okay.
All right, here it is. Team building exercise. Lazy Titan, take it away.
Team building exercise is a 2-cost basic support that says hero action, exhaust team building exercise, play a card from your hand that shares a trait with your hero, reducing its cost by 1. It produces a physical resource, a punch, and came in, I believe, the Wasp pack?
This came in Ant-Man.
Ant-Man. I was close.
You were very close.
Very close. It's like the
also
same thing, basically.
Came in Spider-Ham.
Oh, yeah. But originally from the Ant-Man pack,
correct.
The art on this version is the champions. So we got Miles Morales right in the middle. He's taking up most of the frame.
Mm-hmm.
In the back, we see, I believe that's Brawn, Snowguard, and Ironheart. And then a tiny little Wasp is in the front next to Miles. So it's just our 5 champions swinging into action, getting ready to do some butt kicking, I'm assuming.
I have commentary on this card when we get to theme.
Okay, we will get to theme in a second. Who is Snowguard carrying? Anyone? It's a boy in jeans?
Could just be a boy that she's saving. We don't know. I don't know if that's
Leethus
a team member.
is that a team member, or is that just
strike? If it is a named character, I have no idea who it is. I know everyone else in the image, but not that
main
one.
character. They need a rebrand because that is not a very clear kind of silhouette
It's like
we're looking
jeans
at.
and a white T-shirt.
Yeah,
About as basic as you can ever.
it's a very like everyman. It's a people's hero.
White shoes too.
Listeners, viewers, if you know who that is, if that is anyone, please let me know because I don't know who that is. Boomguy doesn't read comics.
If that is just a citizen of New York, where I'm assuming this takes place, like most superhero things, what's his name? Leave it in the comments.
Leave it in the comments. Leethus, I am now... You don't need to read the card because that would be kind of silly. It's the same card.
Except for the flavor text that they
That's true. You know what?
added.
Forget what I said. Why don't you read the card for us? Leethus, team building exercise. Take it away, Leethus. What is it?
Yeah, so it is identical, obviously, to the last one. It is a reprint with the exceptions of the art and the flavor text that they added. It says, "This is why we practice, people." Quote from Phoenix. And the image shows a bunch of X-Men. I think that's Kitty Pryde in like the lower middle, Psylocke, Storm, sure. Bishop, and Jean fighting Apocalypse.
I believe so.
I don't know who that is.
Looks like
I
Apocalypse.
But yeah, they're clearly battling a villain together.
Yep.
Storm's calling like lightning from a thundercloud you can see up there. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Other than that, they are the same. And this one came in the Iceman pack.
Yeah.
And what... I'll ask you first, Leethus, then we'll go back to Lazy Titan. Leethus, what comic did this art come from?
This came from issue number 8 from Uncanny X-Men Volume 5 in 2019.
And we will come back to yours in a minute, Lazy Titan. You can tell us what art that came from. While we're here, let's just kind of talk about this art, and then let's talk about the other one. What do you guys think about this?
I like
I
it.
generally like it. It's a little jar, and like this is an inherent problem of like kind of a customizable card game where like the outfits that Jean and I think it's Psylocke have do not in any way match like what you're used to seeing them in. It feels really weird that way. But broadly, I like it. It reinforces the theme, right? It's a bunch of X-Men working together, which that works. The focus being on the villain is a difference from the other card. Like the villain is front and center, like clearly the focus of the shot. And the X-Men are kind of arrayed around him. But yeah, I like this one.
Lazy Dan, you like this too, you said?
I like it too. It's a little, the color palette's a little interesting. It's very blue, which makes the red of Bishop pop out a lot. So his energy beam or whatever is very obvious. Storm is taking up a lot of real estate, a lot of thunderclouds, a lot of lightning. But I like it. I will dock it a few points for theme, which I will go over when we talk about that. But overall, I like it. I'm also now realizing, looking at this picture, when you first look at it, it looks like Apocalypse is standing on the ground, and they're kind of coming at him from above. I believe he's like jumping at them from the side, because you can see the trees in the background.
That's what it looks like to me too. Yeah,
I had originally thought he was like standing on the ground and like looking up at the
they
flying
were coming
heroes,
down.
and they were like coming down at him. Now I'm seeing that he's kind of about to punch Psylocke right in the head. Which, as an aggression player, I can respect.
It's very like Bishop throwing all his resource cards right in the middle of the frame is very prominent. I don't love this art. I find it a little muddy. Like it's kind of, I don't know, it all kind of washes together for me, and nothing is very well defined except for Apocalypse. And I find that when you're actually looking at the card, everything else is kind of doesn't immediately jump out. You have to really look hard to even see that Kitty Pryde is there, to even see who this purple one on the right is. I don't know. I don't love it. I think it's a little blah to me.
I've been feeling Storm lately, and watching her conjure lightning bolts sells it.
Storm is just cool.
Just a fan, yeah.
Storm is top 5 X-Men. IMO. She's just cool.
Okay, hold on. Pause.
Don't come at me.
And I like this outfit she has, but go on.
Top 5 X-Men. Now we have to stop and give me your top 5 X-Men right now. Lazy Titan.
Top 5 X-Men right now?
You said she's top 5, so you must know. So give it to us. Top 5 X-Men right now.
All right, hold on. Let me lock in real quick. Number 1, I'm going to say Magneto. He's cool.
I'll allow it.
Wow.
I think he counts. Sometimes he's a good guy. I think he's cool.
I don't just mean from the game. I mean like X-Men.
I know. I'm thinking X-Men overall. Okay. The Master Magnetism is a great moniker. He's always, I don't know, I've always liked Magneto. He's cool. Powers. That's on a short list of powers I would take from a genie. Is Magneto's powers for sure.
That's true. That's true. It's pretty good.
Then, I mean, I feel like it's gonna be a pretty basic list. Wolverine's got to be up there, probably.
Okay.
Probably number 2. 3 I'll give to Cyclops.
Okay.
Because he's that guy. Great high fives for those who know.
Yeah, if you know,
Storm's probably number 4.
Okay.
And then number 5, I gotta give it to the Professor. You know, he's a classic. He's the progenitor, the guy who brought it all together, keeps them all together in times of turmoil, struggle.
Okay, hold that thought, Lazy Titan. Leethus, top 5 X-Men, go.
Oh man, I don't have X-23 is at the top. She's my absolute favorite. I love her.
Is she X-Force or something? Or are they all X-Men?
She's been in the X-Men.
Already
She's
disqualified.
also been in X-Force, but so is Wolverine.
Okay, so give me 5.
Yeah, so X-23 up top, Nightcrawler after that. Maybe Psylocke third. Thinking through the list, I might put Cyclops 4th, and then Jean 5th.
Really?
So
well,
with.
You're both wrong.
Oof.
Here are the top 5 X-Men in no
not
particular,
Angel.
In no particular order. I have the floor, Leethus. In no particular order, Iceman, Colossus, Gambit, Nightcrawler, Cyclops. Top 5.
Now, I'm gonna have to give him that one. I'm gonna cut the Professor and put Gambit on my list. My list is correct. However, Gambit's the 5. The Professor was a pick because I couldn't think of one. Gambit's a 5. That's my fault.
I say again, people.
Mad respect to
Gambit,
Gambit.
Iceman, Cyclops, Colossus, Nightcrawler. Top 5 X-Men. Fight me, listeners, viewers.
I feel like not putting Storm on there is disrespectful. Storm is cool.
Who is in the top 5? Put it in the comments. Let me know which one of us got it right.
I should have put Magic on my list.
Oh, that's a good call. I missed that too.
Curse you and your sudden pressure.
You guys had your chances, okay?
I had my chance.
Yeah.
I choked.
All right.
That was game time, and I choked it. Put Magic.
You
on
choked.
there. That was an easy win.
Tangent over.
She's in the game too. She's not even like out. No, okay, well.
Tangent over. We're shifting back to the cards. So, I don't love this art. Let's go talk about the other art again, and then we will be graced by Lazy Titan first telling us where this art even came from.
This art on the original one comes from Champions Volume 3, Number 1, the variant cover from 2019 as well.
So both from 2019.
Arts were printed in the same time. Coincidence? I think not.
I think not. Okay, so let's talk about this one. This one is better, I will say. I like this one better immediately.
I think I like it. I think I actually like it better. I do end up playing the X-Men one more just because it's different. Because I haven't seen it as much. So whenever I pick that one just because I'm not as like used to it. Same reason I picked the X-Men resources because I've seen Hulk's strength resource for years and I just like switch it up. But I think ultimately this one's better. It's more colorful. It's more interesting. Miles is taking up a premium slot on this art though.
He looks gigantic.
He looks huge. He's
That's
just real close
for
to
you
the
folks.
shot. But, you know, he's who we're here for anyway, so it's fine.
I do love how it's framed. I love this, like, his arm and the way he's bent around kind of shows us Brawn and shows us the other ones. I really like the framing of it. I think that's really cool. I think they're all kind of moving in that direction. It's more dynamic. I think you can see more what's happening here. I like this a lot more.
It's a good, like, Spider-Man shot.
Great
Yeah.
Spider-Man pose.
Classic.
The
The webs.
pulling the web.
Swanging.
Mm-hmm.
Do some web swanging. I think this is better. Of the two, I would vote for this one every time.
I think I'd vote
I think
for
it's
the other
ultimately
one.
better.
You guys would... Leethus votes for the other one. Lazy Titan,
think
which one are you
so.
voting for?
I vote for this one, I think. I think ultimately
The
I like
people
it
have
more.
decided.
It's the classic. It's the OG.
Viewers, listeners, which one? Which one do you like better? Which is the better art? If you say the first one, you are correct. If you say the other one, you are wrong.
Yeah,
but let me know.
that's how that
Whatever you
works.
think.
Aw,
It's totally up to you.
so charitable.
Hey, man, that's what I'm not about charity. I'm here to represent the people and their interests. Let's move to the theme of these cards. I think we're going to hit a lot on theme and power. So, Lazy Titan, why don't you kick us off on theme? You said you had something to say.
Starting with theme. This one, the original art, the better version, I will say, is team building exercise. They're clearly doing some kind of teamwork. I don't know if they look like they're getting ready for something or they're doing maybe a team building exercise. Who knows what they're doing? The X-Men, I would argue, are not doing a team building exercise. They are fully fighting a villain. That is just they're not practicing.
Okay.
Is what team building
I see what
exercise
you're
means
saying.
to me.
But what if they're in the danger room?
That was my question, too.
That's a cop out, and you know it.
That makes the flavor text make more sense.
This is why we practice people. I don't know. I feel like
Who made her the leader? Phoenix is never the leader. Come on. Get out of here.
I don't think she's necessarily the leader. She just said words. I don't know if we can knock her for that.
School must be out because she has no class.
For all of those who know, you know. Yeah, I mean, if it's the danger room, sure. No evidence to support that. So that's a made-up claim with no evidence.
The
So
flavor text.
This is why we
It's true.
practice? That's a generic line. You can throw that at any card. Attribute that to any character, throw it on any card, and it looks fine.
But do you say it while fighting Apocalypse?
No, I'm dead. I get smashed by Apocalypse immediately.
It's true.
Oh,
So
man.
you're taking some out of it because of the art and the theme. Leethus, what did you have to say about theme?
I'm docking
So
it for grammar.
This is like comics nerd frustration.
Go on.
I love Nadia Van Dyne, Wasp.
Okay.
And it hurts me that the Wasp hero they printed is an Avenger and not a champion. And for this card to be printed in Ant-Man, which came out alongside Wasp, featuring Wasp on the card with her proper team, but not have that association, hurts me. Because there's like all these characters that feel like Wasp should be able to play them, or they should work well together, and it just doesn't. And I've heard that during development, Nadia, the Marvel Champions Nadia Van Dyne, was originally supposed to be Janet Van Dyne, and they like had to change it further into development, and that might explain some of the weird things that happened.
I think I told you that.
But as a Nadia Van Dyne fan,
That's kind of disrespectful, but
It is a little inconsistent that she is an Avenger, and then she's pictured with the Champions, and then isn't there... And the Ally's an Avenger, too.
the Wasp ally...
is a champion.
Ant-Man's signature ally,
Ant-Man's
Wasp,
signature
is an Avenger.
But the Justice one is a champion.
Yeah, the Justice one is a champion.
But the Aggression one is an Avenger.
But that's Janet Van Dyne. That makes sense.
That's a whole
It's
different thing.
Different Van Dyne.
Yep, different character.
It's very confusing. The different. I mean, she could
It's
have
a
had
whole.
both.
It's a whole
I'd have
Van
been okay.
Dynasty.
She could have both. It's one of those things like, right, why doesn't Peter Parker have Web Warrior? And part of it is
It's because they
not
forgot.
coming up with things until later.
Yeah.
I don't think they had really... Well, no, I can't even give them that, because they did print Miss Marvel, and she's a champion right off the bat.
Yeah,
Man,
I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
they could have made her Avenger and Champion. That would be
But,
cool.
like, that's not. Avenger is not a broken keyword. You don't get a lot. You get Quinn Carrier.
I just want her to be a champion. I mean, champion needs to be built out more as an archetype or trait that you can actually do anything with. It has like
Have patience.
2 cards right now, but
Patience,
yep.
my young
Patience young
grasshopper.
Padawan.
I think. Okay, so that's the nerd thematics. I don't know what any of that really was. I'm sorry, listeners,
Ouch.
that you had to sit through that. But thank you that you're
Justice
still
for
here.
Nadia.
I think so. I think the theme is kind of cool. I like that you're building your team and doing stuff. I do sometimes wonder if it could have just been an action instead of a hero action, and could have just had a trait with your identity.
I do have some thoughts on that.
What do
So
you guys think?
I
Not
like-
mechanically, from a thematic standpoint, could we have done that? That's where we're at now. We'll talk about the power of what that would do to the card next.
I feel like practice how you play, right? If you're gonna do a team building exercise, if you're gonna practice in the danger room, you're all suited up. You're ready. They're not wearing jeans and sweatpants to go fight Apocalypse in the danger room. You know, you gotta be locked in.
That's
You
fair.
gotta be ready to go.
Leethus,
Yeah.
what say you? Counterpoint?
I think I am inclined to agree with Lazy Titan on that explanation. I do like the theme of what this card does a lot. Like, this is the most straightforward representation of what does it mean to be like on this team. Like, my hero has Avenger. What does that mean? What does it let me do? And it's like, you get to play with Avengers, or, if you're a Guardian, you get to bring more Guardians and have that be discounted. Gives you a really clear line of play into something that reinforces the identity of the hero you're playing. And I really, really, really thematically like this card for that reason.
Especially if you're a Space Knight.
Oh, that's Space Knight buff.
All that Space Knight synergy.
Space Knight fans, let me hear you. I think so. I really like the thematics of like creating a team and what does it mean and all that. And it's cool because you can discount things that aren't necessarily obvious. Like thematically, like the Avengers can discount Avengers Mansion by 1 because it has the Avenger keyword, and that's thematic, right? That's cool. You can also discount the Quinn Carrier if you're an Avenger because it has the Avenger trait. That's cool. Like those kinds of things are cool. And when Maria Hill comes out, she can discount Med Team and Command Team. Like those are cool because I like how that all works. It's not just allies, so because like the first thing I think everybody thinks about, it's like, oh, I can, I'm playing an Avenger, I can discount an Avenger ally, but there's other things that have the keywords that fit, and I think that's really cool, and that makes it feel, that is what thematically takes it for me to the next level. It's not just allies. You're now like discounting other things, the Quinjet and the Quincarrier.
Well, so bringing it down a point for me, I like when it's discounting allies and supports. I think that's really thematically appropriate and it all makes sense. What I don't like is this card feeling like this kind of arbitrary discount that some heroes get for a lot of stuff that doesn't really make sense for this. So a good example is Iceman. Like, Iceman has the ice trait, and a bunch of his cards have the ice trait. And that kind of only matters in like this very self-contained way. And it's a way of making team building exercise a discount card for him for like almost his entire kit. And that doesn't really make sense. And I don't like the use of traits in that way. It's very arbitrary. It doesn't have a lot of logic to it. Superpower is the same way.
I was going to say the exact opposite. I was going to say I like that this card can be used on random stuff, like Iceman, or an aerial card. Or if Magneto had magnetic, he could use it on his stuff. Why is he not? Who knows? I guess he's not actually magnetic, but
he's
like,
not
come
magnetic.
Come on, y'all. Like,
easy answer.
I feel like he's the master of magnetism. He can be whatever he wants. But I was going to say I think that's cool.
I think
Gamma cards, if those come out, it could be a random thing, like just little stuff like that. It's kind of fun to, or like Yarnbjorn having the Asgard trait, so you can play it for 1 in Thor.
But isn't that like a really inconsistent? Like, why does this card apply to Iceman using a bunch of ice cards, but not Magneto using a bunch of magnetic cards?
Because Iceman's made of ice,
He's
and
not made of
just
metal.
talked about Magneto is not magnetic.
But
you're not listening.
Have
you gone to science class?
Iceman is not like. It's a thing that he can do. Like, them both being superpowers would make sense. And be able to use Death Focus to apply them. But like, in what way is like Iceman using like Arctic Attack a team building exercise thing? Like, it.
In what way
not?
Is...
Yeah,
there's
think
no collaboration. There's no teamwork.
Quincarrier is just a plane,
but it's piloted by people.
And it's like an Avenger thing, right? Like, it belongs to the Avengers.
It's like it's associated with the organization. You're like, it represents you calling on the organization's resources. Like, that makes sense. That's cool.
And
I mean,
you being the professional podcaster that you are, Leethus, you transitioned us with a beautiful segue, because I was going to say the first thing I love is that thematic element of the team stuff and the supports and the allies, and it all works together. I think that's really cool. The next level down was the mechanics of it, and were you getting into Iceman. And I think the 3 heroes that this card came with are really good examples: Spider-Ham, Iceman, and Ant-Man. Yeah. Recently I played a bunch of Ant-Man for a video series on the Charred Gambit's YouTube channel, so go check that out if you want. I'll try to remember to leave a link. If I don't, at me and I'll tell you how to find him. But anyway, I was on his channel. He was playing a thematic Kang, and we played Ant-Man and Wasp against Kang. And I played Ant-Man, and it's been a long time since I played Ant-Man. And I realized that almost all of his cards have either the tiny or the giant trait.
Yeah.
Not the case with Wasp, oddly. So she really needs the economic boost more than he does. But
yes.
Taking that apart, it was a really cool tech card, because you can put it in his kit and it's like, oh, it can help me pay for Hive Mind, it can help me pay for Army of Ants, it can help me pay for all of his cards. It's really, really cool. And that feels like a clever mechanical thing, but it doesn't go with the theme, right? The thematic stuff is really cool on that level, and then like the mechanical stuff is really cool on that level, and I think some of these heroes really needed a boost. Wasp is one of them, which is odd why she didn't get the same treatment. I don't know. I had to ask a designer about that. But I think it's really cool that Iceman has that, because Iceman needs it, like, in a bad way. He needs the economy. And Spider-Ham does not. I don't know why everything is a cartoon, because that is nonsense.
It's so arbitrary.
But that's a thing they do for some heroes. Some heroes who are who have like a very strong theme, like Iceman or Magneto or Spider-Ham. A lot of characters have that random keyword that's just for them, like their Space Knight version. Nothing else interacts with ice or magnetic at all. This doesn't even interact with magnetic. Like, it's just a self-contained thing. And so it's cool when you can use an outside card to make a cool little tech like that work. Like, discounting your tiny cards because you flipped out an Ant-Man with this is cool. That's interesting. And mechanically, that's fun.
It becomes this, like, borderline mandatory thing for a lot of heroes. Like playing Iceman without team building exercise feels like you're shooting yourself in the foot.
I have played team building exercise like once in the last 4 years. I don't ever play this
Have
card.
you played Iceman?
I played Iceman quite a lot. I like him. I like him quite a bit. I don't think this card is mandatory. I think it's borderline bad.
It feels a lot like def focus, though, right? Like in what you're saying, Leethus.
Yeah,
like there's some
very similar.
heroes like Rogue. You just have to run def focus with Rogue and with Vision because like they're all treated superpower. Like you don't have to.
Yeah,
but
that's
if
the
you
problem.
don't-
Like superpower is like a meaningless trait. It doesn't. There's no rhyme or reason to what has it and what doesn't, aside from
Hawkeye doesn't have it
trying to
because he's
draw
just a
on some
dude.
sort of like mechanical thing like that. And that's where this starts to break down for me, right? It's like, why does this apply to so many things that don't make thematic sense? And it's because there's a bunch of traits that are arbitrarily given to
This is a
characters
card
that
game.
then
And it's designed to play cards. Right? Like this ultimately this card is thematic, but mostly it was designed to play cards because it fills a niche within a card game, which is making cards cheaper for heroes who might need it. Right?
I don't think when I think of this card, I don't think of it primarily as a discount or like a resource generator like card for heroes that need it. I think of it as a card that reinforces an archetype, and that is building around the trait.
I'm curious.
And usually, when I think of it, I think of it for like allies and like if I want to make an Avengers themed deck and I want to run up a bunch of Avenger allies along with my Avenger hero, this is a card I go to for that, or
Really?
Guardian or whatever.
That's interesting because this card is just a resource generator in my head. That's all it is. It's just genius or whatever. Like I read them as the same. Interesting not to think of this as a resource generator when that's like in my head all it does.
That's the thematic and mechanical disconnect. Like mechanically, yes, you're basically correct, but thematically, it like so the whole thematic, like having it's called team building exercise. Like when you're not using it for things related to your team, it's weird. And mechanically, I get it. There's other cards that are similar. Like this is not only ever coming up with team building exercise, but it is a weird disconnect for me that hurts the card in my overall evaluation some.
See, I guess I don't have that. I think of it in the same or similar to the way Lazy Titan thinks about it. I like putting this card into certain heroes, and I like you said, if you're going to build an Avengers deck, like it works with the Avengers, but then also finding other ways to squeeze more juice out of it, right? It's like, oh, well, if I'm playing an Ant-Man Avengers, then I can do double duty, and then I can use this basically every turn. That's fun. I think it's also interesting in terms of power to mention that you can play multiple copies of this. You do not. It's not limited to max one per player, but it does not stack. Like you can't use 3 of them to pay for a 3-cost
Playing
ally.
the card is a requirement of this card. It doesn't reduce the cost like Helicarrier. It just forces you to play a card, but makes it cheaper.
Yeah.
Helicarrier does stack.
But
you
this
can
is
stack
not
those.
worded the same as Helicarrier.
Correct. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So just for players, it's the same one with the Shield one, which is called Government Liaison. I think
It's just this card for Shield.
same thing. So you know, I see some people, new players sometimes, not to throw anyone on the bus, but you try to exhaust multiples of these because in a pre-con they come 3 copies, I think. So they'll put 3 in and then try to reduce something by
It's
3.
an easy mistake.
Yeah.
Or
it's an
try
easy
to
mistake.
activate this in Alter Ego. Like I definitely remember doing that.
I have definitely done that, like not even that long ago. So no shade, it's fine. Yeah, so I think that is like one thing to note, that you can have multiples. So you could play multiple of them with Ant-Man and produce multiple cards, but you can't stack them on a single one, which is interesting because a lot of the things like this are limited to 1 or they're unique, which is effectively the same thing. So that's interesting. You can't have multiple Avengers mansions, but you can have multiple of these. So how strong do we think this card is, guys?
I think it's very strong, but very unevenly strong. Like you were kind of talking about, there are a few heroes for whom like this card is bonkers good. It's very good for Ant-Man and Iceman as examples. Outside of the context of a hero who has some specific non-team affiliated trait that lets them leverage this, I think it's decent. but in those contexts, it becomes amazing.
Yeah, I think, and I'll let Lazy Titan go next, but I think this card's crazy strong. I think this is so good. I think this is one that you can put into a lot of different decks. If you're playing an X-Men deck, for example, right, you can use this to pay for all of their X-Men stuff and all of their X-Men allies, right? It pays for Utopia. It pays for the allies. It pays for, I don't know if it pays for Danger Room. I don't know what Danger Room is traded.
Probably is.
It
probably
is
traded
X-Men
X-Men.
traded. You just have to play it in Hero.
You have to be in Hero to play it. But yeah, Danger Room, Cerebro, X-Jet, all that stuff. Like, that is so much. So if you put it in like an X-Men deck with a decent amount of allies, you're going to get a ton of value from this. Not to mention if you put it in like Iceman.
Yeah.
But
Phoenix really likes this card.
Oh, yeah. She's another one.
Psionic.
She is Psionic traded. I guess that would mean also...
Psylocke.
What's the other Psionic lady?
Psylocke.
Does she have... She has
It's
Psionic
not
trait.
as good there, but it is still good. Yeah.
So, I mean, some of these are just doing double duty, right? They're just really, really good.
Also, if you gain a trait through something, this also uses that. So, Rogue can use it. If you gain Aerial through various number of means, you can then play your dive bombs for cheaper, which is of course what we're doing with this.
Angel and Aerial.
Angel,
Yeah. Oh,
Rocket,
yeah, Angel.
because he gets Aerial. All those characters that can do that. So it
Yep.
doesn't just say printed traits.
Yeah. So I think this has a lot of use cases. It goes into, I
Web
wouldn't say it
Warriors?
goes into a lot of my decks. Like, there are, like, resource generators are just better, right? Like, Quinn Carrier and X-Shit are just better than this. Helicarrier is just better. But it's like that next level of, like, you were going to disagree with that statement, Leethus, which is insane. So I'm going to let you say it.
Curious. Would you not run this card without Quinn Carrier or X-Jet or whatever if one of those is available, would you always run that card before this one?
Yes.
Huh. Interesting.
That card is just better.
I can't see why you wouldn't. It's just better.
Right? Like, yeah,
The
why would
effect is better, but that additional cost matters.
like it costs more, you mean?
Build
Yeah,
support.
mechanically, I think there's a huge difference between 2 and 3 costs, and it is enough that I will frequently pass over X-Jet in favor of this for somebody like Iceman.
X-Jet also has the benefit of those resources, if you care about that for your dive bombs and your other stuff, or if you're playing Jubilee or any heroes that care about that kind of stuff. So it also has that benefit. And also for like villain attachments that want you to pay resources, that also is a benefit there. It's just more flexible and
There's good
ultimately
reasons
is
to
better.
use them.
That's
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, you're right. Like, the difference in cost, I guess I don't think about it as much when I'm thinking about something like X-Gene, for example. Like, then I notice a big difference, right? Like, I'll run, or Def Focus. I'll run one of those two because they only cost 1, which feels worlds apart to 3. 2 and 3, I guess, I don't know if I'm already packing a bunch of resources in and I'm planning on playing a longer game. Like, this is kind of a longer game card, right? Like, this is I'm putting it into a hero where I'm going to be playing for a little bit. This is not going to be a short game.
Right.
So, I don't know. The 2 cost doesn't bother me at that point.
Yeah, it's fine. It wasn't a criticism, just curious on your perspectives.
But
Two
this is
things.
generally like that next level of resource generation. So, like, whatever your hero comes with, then I'm putting in whatever Helicarrier, Queen Carrier, whatever, that kind of the best version. And then I'm going to the next one. And then it's like, then you're really building out. That's just how I play it.
Mm-hmm.
2 things. 1 random, 1 not. First one,
love it.
Wolverine should have the weapon trait. Next.
Moving on.
Moving on. I think this card is pretty solid. I don't ever play it.
Why is that?
Like, actually ever. Like we said, I play the resource generators before this. If I need that many resource generators, there's almost always a better one. If I need something that mixes my traits, I probably have Quinn Carrier or X-Jet, which I prefer just for the flexibility. And also you can give it to other people if you're playing X-Jet or Helicarrier. It's also nice since I have never played solo. And I don't know, this card just feels kind of like the ignoring having multiples of it doesn't feel super important because, like, are you really going to play 3 cards a turn even with a discount?
Play Cyclops leadership.
disgusting.
Iceman.
Get off my podcast. get out. No. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's probably good, and it's probably like deck building it's inefficient to not run it in some decks, especially like Iceman and stuff, who I do have played. I just don't like this card. I don't really know why I don't like it.
Okay.
It's kind of boring, and it feels like it's worse than every other option I have. Like and just for the characters I play, if I'm playing Rocket, I'll just play the Genius one. It's just better. If I'm playing any other Genius, I'll use that. If I'm playing someone else, I'll use Depth Focus. There's very few characters where the overlap between the 1 costs and the better 2 costs and the more efficient 3 costs requires me to play this card for any reason.
Well, Lazy Titan just taking us straight into the fun category. I love the segue. This is awesome. You guys are professionals. So Lazy Titan just think it's very fun. How fun do you think this card is, Leethus?
That's a hard question, man. I don't know. This is one
It's almost
that,
like you didn't know it was coming.
for a resource generator, I don't think it's terribly fun. It's not the worst thing in the world. Like, I think it's more fun than... I know you're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? But like, I think this is slightly more fun than Helicarrier.
100% agree.
Oh, hey.
No way.
But it's not as fun as something like X-Gene.
I disagree with that. I think this is a super fun card. I think this card makes me feel clever when I play it. Like, Helicarrier and X-Jet don't make me feel clever. I just make something cheaper, or I generate a resource. This makes me feel like I've built a deck, and I've paid attention to the traits, and I'm playing this card because I have a trait, and it makes me feel like I am doing something with the deck that isn't just like, yeah, Queen Carrier is great because it generates a resource of whatever kind you need. So, like, of course it's good, but that's not clever, right? It's just a really good card. This feels like, oh, I'm going to play, Giant Stomp, and I'm clever enough to know that's traded with Giant, and I can use this, and, like, that just makes me feel good when I play it, and that's fun. Or you find an ally that has a trait that you didn't realize or didn't know before. You're like, oh, this matches with me. I can play this. That's cool. Or the first time I realized Avengers Mansion could be played. Like, that's fun. So I think that makes you feel good, and that makes it feel fun. So I think this card is super fun, actually.
I do think it's fun on somebody like Thor, where you're like, oh, I can leverage like Avengers and Asgard on the same card and like make this weird hybrid deck, and this card supports everything.
Now, explain to me how that is any different from Iceman. How is Asgard different from Ice in your thematic mind?
There's some overlap, but there are like Asgard characters and stuff.
This is true. You can play allies with Asgard. You can play Valkyrie.
There are
and
Ice
stuff.
characters too. 2 snow clones.
So don't.
2 snow clones.
God. Okay. Fine.
Owned.
Mic drop.
Again. Done.
There is some, like, there's a bunch of stuff like within Thor's kit. Although some of that is more fun too. Like, I think being able to
Pays for Mjolnir.
Yeah, I think using team building exercise to
Pays for Mjolnir is
replay
actually
Mjolnir
huge.
after playing Hammer Throw is
That's
really
actually
fun.
that's big
Yes.
tech.
That is fun.
Paying for Mjolnir is important, and now
might
that
be the most fun use of this card, actually.
that is probably true. Now that Shuri's been revealed, there's a bunch of Wakanda trait cards now, the Dor Milaje and all them. So
Yep.
now you can play it in Black Panther, and I think that's fun. Using those traits. I think that's one of the more fun parts of this card is using those traits that nobody else gets. Right, like it makes you want to play it in Black Panther for the Dor Milaje, or in Thor for the Hammer, or in Iceman for his cards. It feels like a little less special, I guess, maybe in Iceman because all of his cards are the thing. But that's his thing, right? He's Iceman.
I mean, is it a thematic miss that Wakanda Forever doesn't have the Wakanda trait?
Or the Forever trait? I feel like I don't know if there is a card, but I want more cards that have the same traits as their name.
I really want the Wakanda Forever card to have the temporary keyword from Cyclops.
Team building exercise doesn't work for the leadership team cards.
True.
That's true.
Because they're not. I think Avengers Mansion should have the Mansion trait. So.
Or Space
That
Knight.
mansion archetype.
Or Space Knight. Give it that too.
I mean, come on. Space
That's
Knight,
peak
baby.
synergy right there.
Okay, so we've talked about art, theme,
Does
power,
Venom have
and
the
fun.
symbiote trait?
He does not.
Okay, can't even play symbiote suit with it. Never mind.
You cannot. but you can play all the Space Knight cards with a 1 cost reduction thanks to team building exercise. Lazy Titan, why don't you tell me your final thoughts on team building exercise?
Final thoughts on team building exercise. It's cool. It's a fun way to capitalize on traits that not many people get to use. It's an interesting resource generator, which is, like you said, makes you feel kind of smart to have pulled off a trick, especially if there's some kind of combo you're doing with like Rogue or something. That's always neat. I believe Reboot might have the Android trait, which you can then do some crazy stuff with.
It does not, I don't think.
I don't know.
I gotta look that up.
There's some tricky stuff you can do with it that you might not expect, which is always fun. But for whatever reason, I just don't like it. I don't really know if I can put a rational thought as to why I don't like it or don't play it. It's just I see it all the time and I just don't do it. So
because it doesn't do damage.
That's probably true. It's honestly probably true. There's not a big enough number on this card. One just pass over.
Until Peter Parker has the aerial, then you can play Swinging Web Kick with a 1 cost reduction. Because this is aerial. Anyway.
Easy. But yeah, I will give a final score 7 out of 10. 5 being true neutral. I'll give it a 7. The art is good for both of them, even though the first one I think is better. It's solid. It's good. It has some theme. It breaks down if you interrogate it too much, but it's a card game about superheroes. None of this is real.
Don't tell me that.
That's true.
Sorry to break your immersion, folks.
Don't say that to me.
I will let Leethus go last today, so I will go next, and I will say that the original team building exercise is the superior version. I think the art is better, and it is sufficiently better to cover the lack of flavor text. The flavor text in the second one is also kind of generic, so better flavor text might have won that card. But be that as it may, the superior version of team building exercise from me is going to get a solid 8 out of 10. I think this is a really solid card. It's not one that I include all the time. There are a few heroes where, like Leethus said, it does kind of feel necessary. Like, I do run this in basically every Iceman deck because I think you'd be a fool not to. A lot of things he's playing are either Ice and or X-Men traded, so there's that. I think there are those times when you feel clever, and I mentioned playing Ant-Man recently. Ant-Man's a character I've never really loved, but going back to play with that Thematic series, which is it's a progression series, so you went back and we could only play cards released up to Ant-Man. So I had very limited deck pool options. And I was building that deck, and it had been so long since I played Ant-Man, I forgot that this was a tech for him. And then I felt clever when I was building the deck, and I was like, oh, wait, this is giant traded, this is tiny traded, this is a really fun thing I had never, or maybe forgotten had existed. So that was cool, and I think there are little interactions like that make you feel cool when you play it. Like we mentioned Thor recently, you can play Beta Ray Bill with a 1 cost reduction.
And you're
probably just going to play him with squared off anyway, so it doesn't matter. But like when it comes off, right, that's cool, and it makes you feel clever and that's kind of a lot of what we like about these games, right? You want to build decks that make you feel clever, that make you feel like you figured it out, you're playing the cards the best way. So for me, it's 8 out of 10. I don't include it in every deck, but when I include it, I'm happy that it's there. Leethus?
For all my frustrations thematically with the card, I do actually like this card a lot. It's one of the first resource generators I actually look at typically when I'm deck building, like ahead of Helicarrier, Avengers Mansion, Quinn Carrier, all that. I like this card a lot. It is very, very strong for a subset of heroes. Mm-hmm. But it can still be a cool card to use for a lot of other ones as long as you're deck building to support whatever traits you have. I like the card a lot. I do like the theme of it on its face. I feel like it breaks down a little bit in some scenarios, and that docks it a bit for me. But ultimately, like, I'd still come in and give this an 8 out of 10. I like this card a lot. I love that it's a fundamental, like, build around a trait card. Like, it rewards you for building around a trait, and that reinforcing the theme, I think, is really cool. And it's also an interesting variation on a resource generator that helps teach some rules that are a little bit esoteric There's some odd differences between, like, if you're a new player looking at this versus Helicarrier versus Quinn Carrier, it's maybe not immediately apparent how they're all very different rules-wise. But I think that's a cool little kind of fun bonus for this card. So, yeah, ultimately, like I said, 8 out of 10 overall.
8 out of 10. Well, we all scored pretty high here, actually. 7, 8, 8.
Average of 7.6 or something?
Something like that. I'm
Average
not a
of
math major, but that sounds pretty close to me. Well, listeners, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Let us know what you think about Team Building Exercise, since this is the card that you all voted for. Which version is better? And how would you score this out of 10? What is your rating? Leave the rating down below. And again, 5 is true neutral. It's not failing. So if you get a 5, you're right in the middle. But I'd be curious to see how people score this card, because it's not one I hear a ton talked about, but I think it's a fun card. So let us know your thoughts, and subscribe, like, smash like, do all that stuff. It was great to have you all here, and we will see you in the next episode. Thank you, and good night. Bye, everybody.
Don't worry,
Adios.
guys. Strange can use this for Sorcerer Supreme.